Hello again. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you haven't been here before. I managed to get a rack, a rear rack for the monkey. So I've managed to pick up a used one on Facebook. Very nice chap who sold it to me. I won't name his name, but he knows who he is. I was going to do an unboxing video or an unboxing of this, but it's used anyway, so it came in a packaging. But I'm going to include some photos of the packaging because it was absolutely phenomenal. So thanks very much for packing it. It was packed really well. So I'm going to do a couple of photos and I'm adding them in to the video so you can see how well it was packed. Note to everyone, if you're selling something used on Facebook, pack it like this. Top marks for that. So anyway, this is a fairly straightforward installation. 2 bolts on the top of the shock absorbers. We'll loosen them. They slide onto there, and 2 bolts here that go into a couple of holes on the back of the bike there. So I'll go through it all. I've got a couple of cameras set up, so I'll try and do close-ups so that you know what to do and it's nice and clear. So okay, let's have a go. So quite simple regards tools. All you need is a ratchet and a socket, 2 sockets. There's a 12 millimeter socket, do a close up on that, and a 14 millimeter socket as well. And the reason you need to use sockets instead of spanners is one of the nuts is straight inside a hole, which you'll see here as I put the socket straight in that hole there, and you can feel the nut there. So it's not that tight actually. So loosen that one. That's out. Another one on the other side, and then the second nut is the one at the top of the shock absorber. So you've got to loosen that one as well. So yeah, a little bit tighter, but still pretty easy to loosen off. And you don't need to take that right off because the rack itself is going to slide on. So as you can see here, there's a couple of grooves inside of the rack, and that will basically slide on, and then you can tighten that back up again. Nice and easy. Okay, so we'll jump to the other side, and then it's the same at this side as well. So we'll loosen the 14 first. Again, quite easy. Put the 14 off, pop the 12 on, and then again, just in that little hole, and you'll feel the 12. Again, really easy to come off. And then I'll loosen that. And then should be able to lift the seat off. There is a catch on the seat, like that. So you need to push it backwards and lift, like that. And then you can see the plastic catch underneath. So there is a catch there. So don't try and lift the seat straight off like that. It won't come. You need to go back and up, and it'll come off nice and easily. So I've got the seat off. I've loosened the shock absorber bolts at the top on each side. That's the 14 millimeter nut that comes off of them. And what I've had to do, I don't know how easy some people have managed to get the rack on, but I've had to really pull the shock absorbers quite far apart, almost to the end of the thread, so that I can actually get enough room to squeeze the catches of the rack in to that bolt. So I'll do it again just so you can see, but you can see here, right here is where I've had to manoeuvre in here underneath the lights, and it is quite a tight fit, but eventually I can get them on the inside there. I've also read that depending on which rack you get, it can either go inside the shock absorbers at the top or outside the shock absorber bolt at the top. This rack is on the inside, and I'm fine with that as long as it's secure. So that's it slid in. All I need to do now is tighten up the shock absorber bolts, get them all back together, and then it'll be a case of putting the seat back on again. So I'll do the shocks first. Okay, so I'll just give this a bit of a bang here, back in, and then the washers back on. There is a washer on the inside, so I'll leave that there, and then these two washers on the outside. I'll put it finger tight just now, and then I'll go around the other side. And again, so bang this in, right onto the thread, then pop the two washers back on there. So the next thing to do before you retighten the shock absorber bolts is put the two bolts and attach it to the frame. If you tighten these shocks up first, then you'll find it hard to align the holes in the frame, which you should be able to see on this camera angle. So put that one through there, and then the bolt goes underneath, sorry, the nut goes underneath. A little bit fiddly, but fairly straightforward. Line up the hole, put the bolt through, attach the nut on the other side, and then the same for the other one right here. Just manoeuvre it ever so slightly if you've not got a perfect alignment, and when you do, it'll pop right through. So to tighten the two frame bolts here, you're going to need another tool. So you're going to need a Torx 40, and that goes into the Torx head at the top. And then underneath for the bolt, the nut, you're going to need a 14mm spanner just to hold that nut underneath. There's not a lot of room to turn the nut underneath, so hence I'm using a screwdriver type torque. And then the same on this side. And once you've tightened the frame bolts, you can go back onto the nuts at the top of the shock absorbers and then tighten them up to 29 Newton meters. And then what I'll do is just stand at the back and look at that for alignment and make sure it's nice and straight. So that's that. That looks good. I've checked it from behind, it's nicely aligned. So all I need to do now is put the seat back on. Nice and easy. There's the two 12mm bolts and nuts at the front. And the only thing at the back is the lip, so remember that you need to slide it in from the back to capture the plastic lip there on the seat. So let's just lay that down first. And that's that. So try and lift it, you can see it's caught on the lip, so that's fine. And then just the 12mm on either side to secure the seat back on. So 12mm back in the socket, and then because the hole's quite far in, I would recommend stick it in the socket and then push it in and feel for the hole with your fingers, and that's that. And then tighten that back up. That's fine, and then same on the other side. That's good, that's tight. Quite a straightforward install actually. Really quite happy at how easy that was. Yeah, looks good, makes a difference. I like the styling as well. I know there's sort of squarer, more modern ones, but I wanted to keep the sort of tubular chrome just to match the rest of the bike, to be honest. So yeah, quite happy with that. So that's me done. That's another job done. First modification. Yeah, first modification was to remove the screen that came with it. I wasn't that keen on it, so I've taken that off. So this is the first thing I've put on the monkey. I like it. If you see one of my other videos, you'll see that I attempted to put mirror extenders on, but that didn't work out, so check that video out. But I have got new mirror extenders now, Oxford mirror extenders from Sports Bike Shop. So I'm going to be putting them on in the next few days, and I'll do a video on how to put them on. But yeah, I'm happy. I wanted a rear carrier. I've got a rear carrier, and now I've got somewhere I can put things. So thanks for watching again. Like and subscribe. Channel's growing slowly but surely. Thank you very much for that. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.